The quiet hum of laboratory equipment filled the room as Dr. Taiwan Kim stared at his computer screen, his eyes wide with disbelief. It was 3 a.m. at the Seoul Advanced Research Institute, and what he saw made no sense at all. "This can't be right," he muttered, running his hands through his messy black hair. The quantum particles in his experiment weren't behaving the way they should. Instead of appearing in either one place or another, the matter in his test chamber was somehow existing in 2 places at once, and not just at the tiny quantum level where such things were normal. He reached for his phone to call his research partner. After 3 rings, a tired voice answered. "Do you know what time it is, Taiwan?" Dr. Hae-Yun Park asked, trying to sound angry but failing to hide her curiosity. In 15 years of working together, Taiwan had never called her this late. "Hae-Yun, you need to see this. The test chamber, it's doing something impossible." 20 minutes later, Hae-Yun stood next to Taiwan in her white lab coat, thrown hastily over her casual clothes. Her long hair was tied back in a messy ponytail as she leaned forward, squinting at the readings. "Run it again," she said. Taiwan pressed the button to restart the experiment. Inside the clear test chamber, a small metal ball sat on a platform. As the quantum field generators hummed to life, something strange happened. The ball flickered, like a bad TV signal, and for a split second, it existed in 2 places at once, both on the platform and floating 2 inches above it. "That's the 10th time," Taiwan said softly. "It's not an error." Hae-Yun walked around the chamber slowly, checking every sensor and connection. "The equipment is working perfectly," she said. Which means we found something new," Taiwan finished. "Something big." They spent the next few hours running more tests. Each time, the results were the same. When they created specific patterns in their quantum field generator, normal-sized objects could briefly exist in 2 states at once, something that should only happen to tiny quantum particles. As the sun rose outside their lab windows, Hae-Yun suddenly sat up straight in her chair. "Taiwan," she said slowly, "what if this isn't just about being in 2 places at once? What if we're seeing the gap in reality itself?" Taiwan looked at her, his tired brain starting to catch up. "You mean?" "I mean we might have found a loophole," she said, getting excited. "A way to make things exist between states of reality. No one has ever seen anything like this before." Just then, the lab door opened, and Dr. Jin-Ho Lee, their department head, walked in. He stopped when he saw them both there so early. "What are you 2 doing here at this hour?" he asked, looking concerned. Taiwan and Hae-Yun looked at each other. They knew their discovery was too big to hide. "Sir," Taiwan said carefully, "we found something you need to see, but you might want to sit down first." As Jin-Ho watched the experiment, his coffee cup stopped halfway to his mouth. The metal ball flickered again, existing in 2 places at once. "Do you understand what this means?" Hae-Yun asked their shocked boss. Jin-Ho slowly put his cup down, his hands slightly shaking. "It means," he said quietly, "that everything we know about reality just changed, and I have a feeling our lives are about to get very interesting." What none of them knew was just how right he was. Somewhere, far beyond Earth's atmosphere, alien sensors were already detecting their experiments, and the galactic community was about to get the shock of their lifetime. 2 weeks after their strange discovery, Taiwan and Hae-Yun barely left their lab. Empty coffee cups and half-eaten snacks covered their desks. They had named their discovery the reality junction theory, but they needed proof it could work on bigger things than just a metal ball. "Look at this pattern," Hae-Yun said, pointing to her computer screen. She had drawn a map of how the quantum fields moved during their tests. "It's like reality is folding itself." Taiwan nodded, rubbing his tired eyes. "Like when you fold a piece of paper to make 2 far-apart dots touch," he said. "But we're doing it with space itself." They decided to try something new. Hae-Yun placed a pencil on one side of the lab and set up their quantum field generator. This time, they would try to make the pencil take a shortcut through space. "Ready?" Ta-One asked, his finger hovering over the start button. Ready? Hei-Yun answered, holding her breath. The machine hummed to life. Blue light filled the room as the quantum fields grew stronger. The pencil started to flicker, just like the metal ball had done. Then something amazing happened. The pencil disappeared from its spot. At the same exact time, it appeared on the other side of the lab. It hadn't moved through the space between. It had simply stopped existing in one place and started existing in another. We did it, Hei-Yun shouted, jumping up and down. We made a shortcut through reality. Just then, Dr. Jin-Ho walked in. He saw the pencil experiment and dropped his folder. Papers went flying everywhere, but he didn't seem to care. How did you do that? He asked, his voice shaking. Ta-One quickly explained their breakthrough. The quantum fields don't just make things exist in two places, he said. They can make things skip through space entirely. We think human minds might be helping somehow. Our brainwaves seem to stabilize the effect. Jin-Ho walked slowly to the pencil and picked it up. He turned it over in his hands, as if making sure it was real. This changes everything, he said quietly. Do you know what this means for space travel? For transportation? For everything? Hei-Yun nodded. We can make shortcuts through reality itself. Distance won't matter anymore. They spent the next few hours showing Jin-Ho all their data. As they talked, none of them noticed the strange readings coming from their equipment. Their experiments were causing tiny ripples in space-time, ripples that were spreading far beyond Earth. Later that night, as they were planning bigger tests, Hei-Yun noticed something odd on her computer screen. That's strange, she said, frowning at the numbers. The quantum fields are acting different now, almost like they're responding to our thoughts. Ta-One looked over her shoulder. You mean human consciousness might be affecting the fields directly? Exactly, she said. Look, the shortcuts work better when we focus on where we want things to go. It's like our minds are helping to guide the process. Jin-Ho sat down heavily in a chair. So not only have we found a way to make shortcuts through reality, he said slowly, but human minds are naturally good at controlling it. They all looked at each other as they realized what this meant. Humans hadn't just found a loophole in reality. They had found one that they were uniquely suited to use. None of them could have guessed that at that very moment, alarm bells were going off in alien monitoring stations across the galaxy. The impossible was happening. Humans had stumbled onto one of the universe's greatest secrets, and they had found a completely new way to use it. 3 days after their breakthrough, everything changed. Ta-One was in the middle of another test when the lab's lights suddenly went out. A strange, soft blue glow filled the room from above. Hei-Yun, he called out nervously. Did you see that? Before she could answer, the air in the center of the lab began to shimmer. A tall figure stepped out of nowhere. It wasn't human. The creature stood nearly 8 feet tall, with silvery skin that seemed to glow. It had 4 arms and wore what looked like a uniform made of shifting colors. Behind it, 3 more aliens appeared. Ta-One, Hei-Yun, and Jin-Ho backed away slowly. None of them could speak. Their minds couldn't process what they were seeing. Please do not be afraid, the tall alien said in perfect Korean. I am Administrator Cax of the Galactic Council. We have been watching your experiments with great interest. Just then, Sung Min Kang, a young engineer from the lab next door, walked in carrying some papers. He stopped and stared at the aliens, but instead of looking scared, his eyes lit up with excitement. Amazing, Sung Min said, stepping forward. You must have used some kind of dimensional transport to get here. The energy signature would be similar to what we've been working on, right? Administrator Cax turned all 4 of its eyes to look at Sung Min. You understand our technology? Well, not exactly, Sung Min said with a friendly smile. But the basic principles must be similar to our reality junction theory. Though I bet you use a different method than we do. The other aliens started whispering to each other in a strange language. They seemed surprised by Sung Min's calm reaction and understanding. "Young human," Cax said, "you are correct. But what your team has discovered, it should not be possible. Not for hundreds of your years." Hei-yun finally found her voice. "Why not?" she asked. "Because," Cax explained, "reality manipulation is one of the most difficult and dangerous technologies in the galaxy. It took most species thousands of years to discover it safely. Yet you humans found a completely new way to do it in just weeks." Taiwan stepped forward. "New way? You mean you don't use quantum fields combined with conscious guidance?" The aliens all made a strange sound. Something between a gasp and a whistle. "Conscious guidance," one of them asked. "You use your minds to control the reality shifts." "Yes," Sung Min said simply. "Don't you?" Administrator Cax sat down in a nearby chair, looking shocked. "In all our centuries of space travel, no species has ever used consciousness to stabilize reality shortcuts. We use massive machines and complex calculations. But you humans," Cax paused, shaking its head, "you found a loophole we never even imagined." Jin-Ho cleared his throat. "So, why are you here?" "We came to stop you," Cax said honestly. "We thought you had stolen our technology somehow. But now..." The alien stood up and looked at each human in turn. "Now we need your help." "Our help?" Hei-yun asked. "Yes," Cax said. "Your method is safer and more efficient than anything we have. But more importantly, news of your discovery is already spreading through the galaxy. Some species are frightened. Others are very interested. You humans have, as you might say, stirred up quite a storm." Sung Min laughed. "Well," he said, "I guess that means things are about to get really interesting." As if to prove his point, more aliens began appearing in the lab. Soon, the room was filled with creatures of all shapes and sizes, all talking excitedly about the humans who had found a whole new way to bend reality. The age of Earth's isolation was over, and it had ended not with a war or an invasion, but with humans doing what they did best, finding a clever solution that nobody else had thought of. The lab had turned into a strange meeting place. Aliens of all kinds sat or stood around the room, watching as Sung Min drew diagrams on a whiteboard. He was trying to explain how humans use their minds to control reality shortcuts. "It's really quite simple," Sung Min said, drawing a straight line. "This is the normal way to get from point A to point B. But when we think about the destination while using the quantum fields," he drew a curved line that connected the points. "We can fold space like this." Administrator Cax shook his head in wonder. "But how do you prevent reality fractures? Our methods require huge safety systems." Dr. Yi-Jun Choi, a quiet scientist who studied how the human brain worked, stood up from her corner. She had been thinking hard about this problem. "I think I know why our method works," Yi-Jun said. Everyone turned to look at her. "It's because human consciousness naturally understands how to handle impossible things." "What do you mean?" asked one of the aliens, who looked like a tall blue tree. Yi-Jun picked up a marker and started drawing on another board. "Humans dream every night," she explained. "In our dreams, we experience impossible things. We fly, we teleport, we exist in many places at once. Our minds are used to handling reality that doesn't make sense." The aliens started buzzing with excitement. This was something they had never considered. "But there's more," Ye-Jun continued. "Humans also have something called imagination. We can think about impossible things and make them feel real in our minds. This ability might be why we can stabilize reality shortcuts without massive machines." Administrator Cax turned all four of his eyes to her. "This is both amazing and frightening news," he said. "Amazing because it could revolutionize space travel. Frightening because..." He paused. "Because what?" Hei-yun asked. "Because some species will be scared of this power," Cax explained. "They might think humans are too dangerous. Already there are calls for action against Earth." The room went quiet. Taiwan looked worried. "What kind of action?" Some want to stop all human research, Cax said. Others want to remove humans from the equation entirely. Some men stepped forward. But that would be a huge mistake, he said firmly. Look how much we've learned just by talking to each other for a few hours. Imagine what we could learn if we worked together. Just then, another alien appeared in the room. This one looked scared. Administrator, it said quickly, we have problems. The Galactic Council is in chaos. 3 species have already launched ships toward Earth. Some want to steal the human method, others want to stop it. Yi-Jun stood up straighter. Then we need to show them why working together is better than fighting, she said. If human consciousness is the key, maybe we can teach other species how to use their minds in similar ways. Cax looked thoughtful. That might work, but we need to act fast. The first ships will arrive in less than a day. Then let's get to work, Sungmin said with a smile. We humans are pretty good at solving problems under pressure. The aliens in the room looked at each other. They were starting to understand something important about humans. Not only had humans found a new way to bend reality, but they also stayed calm and looked for solutions when faced with danger. As everyone began working on a plan, Yi-Jun pulled Taiwan aside. You know what's really interesting, she whispered. The aliens are so surprised by how our minds work, but to us, it's just normal. Maybe that's our real superpower. We think impossible things are possible. Outside the lab, the sun was setting on what might be Earth's last normal day. But inside, humans and aliens were working together, racing against time to turn a potential disaster into humanity's greatest achievement. Word spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Humans could bend reality with their minds. Some alien species panicked. Others got very angry. And some got very, very interested. Dr. Do Hyun-Yoon was working in his small lab when he made the next big discovery. He had been running tests on how human emotions affected the reality shortcuts. What he found made him run to find the others. Look at this. Do Hyun burst into the main lab, waving his tablet. The room was still full of aliens, but now they were all arguing. He had to shout to be heard. Everyone, please look. Administrator Cax used all 4 arms to signal for quiet. What have you found, human? It's about emotions, Do Hyun said, hooking his tablet to the big screen. When we use the reality shortcuts, our feelings make them more stable. Look. The screen showed 2 tests. In one, the scientist was calm and focused. The reality shortcut worked fine. In the second test, the scientist was excited and happy. The shortcut worked even better. That's impossible, one alien said. It looked like a floating crystal. Reality shortcuts become dangerous with any instability. Emotion should make them explode. Not for us, Do Hyun explained. Human emotions actually help control the shortcuts. The stronger the feeling, the more stable the connection. While everyone was looking at Do Hyun's data, Sungmin got an alert on his phone. His face went pale. We have a problem, he said. 3 alien ships just appeared near the moon. One of them is charging weapons. The room erupted in chaos. Aliens started shouting in different languages. Some disappeared, probably teleporting back to their own ships. Wait. Yi-Jun shouted over the noise. Do Hyun's discovery might help us. If human emotions stabilize reality, maybe we can use that. Hyun caught on quickly. You mean use our emotions to make a bigger shortcut? Something to show them we come in peace. Exactly, Yi-Jun said. But we need to do it fast. Administrator Cax looked worried. The ships are from species who think humans are too dangerous. They want to stop your research before you can use it as a weapon. Taiwan laughed. A weapon? We're trying to make space travel safer. Then show them, Cax said simply. The team quickly set up their equipment. This would be their biggest test yet. Instead of moving small objects, they would try to create a stable reality shortcut big enough for people to see from space. Everyone focus. Yi-Jun said. Think about peace. Think about working together. Let your emotions guide the fields. The quantum generators hummed to life. Blue light filled the room. But this time, something was different. The light seemed warmer, friendlier. It spread up through the ceiling, growing bigger and bigger. In space, the alien ships watched as a huge blue light appeared above Earth. It looked like a giant door opening in reality itself. But instead of feeling dangerous, it felt welcoming. "What are they doing?" one alien captain asked. "They're showing us who they really are." Cax's voice came over their radios. "Humans don't want to fight. They want to explore, to learn, to grow, and they're offering to help us do the same." The weapons powered down. The light continued to glow, stable and bright, controlled by human minds and human hearts. Back in the lab, Do-hyun checked his readings. "It's working," he said excitedly. "The shortcut is more stable than any we've ever made. Our emotions are making it stronger." Administrator Cax looked at the humans with new respect. "You've done more than find a loophole in reality," he said quietly. "You've found a way to make it better." The crisis wasn't over yet, but humanity had shown the galaxy something important. Sometimes the most powerful force isn't the ability to destroy. Sometimes it's the desire to create something new together. After the big light show over Earth, things got busy. More alien ships arrived every hour, but now they came to talk, not fight. The lab was getting very crowded. Some men stood in front of a group of alien scientists, trying to explain human emotions. "It's not just about feeling things," he said. "It's about how we use those feelings. When we want something to work, really want it, that helps make it happen." Hae-yun was working at her computer when she got an idea. She waved Sung Min over. "I think I know how we can fix this whole mess," she said, showing him her screen. "Look what happens when aliens try our method." The screen showed test results from different alien species trying to use human-style reality shortcuts. Most of them failed, but a few had small success. The ones who did better, Hae-yun explained, were the ones who tried to feel emotions like humans do. They didn't just think about the destination. They wanted to go there. Some men's eyes lit up. "So if we teach them how to use their feelings, we could help them make safer shortcuts," Hae-yun finished. "And maybe they'll stop being so scared of us." They took their idea to Administrator Cax, who was trying to keep peace between all the different alien groups. "A training program?" Cax asked, all four eyes blinking. "To teach aliens how to feel like humans?" "Not exactly," Sung Min said. "More like teaching them to use the feelings they already have. Every species feels something, right?" Cax thought for a moment. "Yes, but most try to ignore their feelings when using technology. We think emotions make things unstable." "But that's just it," Hae-yun said excitedly. "We've proved emotions can make reality shortcuts more stable. We just need to show everyone how." Young researcher Min Seo-kwon had been quietly listening. She worked with new scientists at the institute and knew how to teach complicated ideas. "I can help design the training," she offered. "We can start with simple exercises, teaching them to connect their feelings with the quantum fields." Administrator Cax called an emergency meeting of the Galactic Council right there in the lab. Hundreds of aliens appeared, filling every space. "Humans have made an offer," Cax announced. "They will teach us their method of reality manipulation, which is safer and more efficient than ours. In return, they ask for full membership in the Galactic Council, with all rights and protections." The room erupted in discussion. Some aliens were excited, others suspicious. But then Min Seo stepped forward. "Let me show you," she said. She walked to the quantum generator and turned it on. "Everyone, think about your home. Not just where it is, but how it feels. Think about why you want to go there." The generator hummed. A small reality shortcut appeared, glowing softly. Min Seo invited an alien to try using it. The alien, which looked like a tall silver cloud, moved forward nervously. It thought about its home, letting itself feel homesick. To everyone's surprise, the shortcut stayed stable as the alien passed through. It worked, the alien said when it reappeared, and it felt natural. More aliens wanted to try. Each success made others more confident. Even the species that had been most afraid of humans started to see things differently. This changes everything, Cax said, watching the experiments. Not just how we travel through space, but how we think about technology itself. Heyun smiled. Sometimes the best solutions come from places you don't expect, she said, like finding out that feelings aren't a weakness, they're a strength. As the day ended, papers were signed. Earth would join the Galactic Council, and humans would help create a new way of moving through space, a way that didn't fight against nature, but worked with it. Humanity had done more than find a loophole in reality. They had shown the galaxy a whole new way to look at the universe. 6 months had passed since the day aliens first appeared in the lab. Earth had changed a lot since then. The Sewell Advanced Research Institute had grown into something much bigger, the Inter-Reality Academy. Min Seo stood at the front of a huge classroom. Her students weren't just humans anymore. Aliens of all shapes and sizes sat, or floated, in the room, eager to learn. Today, she said with a smile, we're going to try something new. We're going to make the biggest reality shortcut ever attempted. In the back of the room, Taiwan and Heyun watched proudly. Their small discovery had grown into something amazing. The Academy now had students from over 50 different alien species. Remember, Min Seo continued, it's not just about the math or the machines. Feel your connection to where you want to go. Let your emotions guide you. The classroom had a massive quantum generator installed in the ceiling. As Min Seo spoke, it began to hum softly. Everyone focused together, she said. We're going to open a shortcut to the Andromeda Galaxy. A few months ago, this would have seemed impossible. The Andromeda Galaxy was over 2 million light-years away. But now, with hundreds of minds working together, using both alien technology and human emotion, anything seemed possible. The room filled with soft blue light. Students closed their eyes, if they had them, and focused. Each species had learned to use their own kind of feelings. Some used love, others used curiosity, some used their sense of adventure. Suddenly, a huge window opened in the middle of the room. Through it, they could see the swirling colors of Andromeda. Perfect, Min Seo said happily. Now hold it steady. Remember what you're feeling right now. Administrator Cax walked into the room, looking pleased. In the past months, he had become a strong supporter of the human teaching method. Excellent work, he said. The council has approved the first joint expedition. We leave next week. The students cheered. This was what they had all been working toward. The first mission to explore places no one had ever reached before. Later that day, the original team met in their old lab. It looked small now compared to the rest of the academy, but they still liked to meet here. Did you ever think this would happen? Some men asked, looking at some old pictures on the wall. One showed their first successful pencil experiment. Never? Heyun laughed. I just wanted to do some interesting physics research. And instead, we changed the galaxy, Taiwan said. Not bad for a few months' work. Yaijun walked in, carrying new data on her tablet. Look at these readings, she said excitedly. When different species work together, the shortcuts become even more stable. It's like the diversity makes them stronger. Do-hyun nodded. Just like in nature, he said. More diversity means better solutions. Min Seo joined them after her class. The expedition team is ready, she said. We're going to explore places no one has ever been able to reach before. And it all started because humans think differently, Administrator Cax said, appearing in the doorway. You didn't know it was supposed to be impossible, so you found a new way. They all looked out the window at the academy grounds. Humans and aliens walked together, sharing ideas, learning from each other. Reality shortcuts flickered in the sky like gentle northern lights, stable and safe. You know what the best part is? Sung Min said softly. We didn't just find a better way to travel through space. We found a better way to work together. The others nodded. Humanity's greatest discovery hadn't been the reality shortcuts. It had been showing the galaxy that differences weren't something to fear. They were something to celebrate. As the sun set on another busy day of the academy, Min Seo looked at her class schedule for tomorrow. The first item read, Expedition Preparation, Exploring the Unknown Together. The future was looking very interesting indeed.